Great. So welcome again. Today we're going to be doing knowledge share about various program topics that we've had success with at different libraries. And at the end, if anyone, if we have time, if anyone has a great program that they want to share, feel free to give a nice little 1-minute nugget, share it with the world, and let us know how to get in contact with you if we want to do that at our own libraries. But we have Keelan from Falmouth will be presenting, Elsa from Scarborough, Lisa from South Portland, and Hannah from Patten, and then I'll also be talking about a program that worked at my library, Boothbay Harbor. Anyone want to go first? Keelan's out.
I was mentally prepared because my name was first on the list. So, okay, I'm presenting about the Cookbook Club, and I threw together 3 slides, not really for you guys, mostly for me, but I'll share them anyways. Let's see if I remember. I just practiced this. Okay, so I will hands down admit that the Cookbook Club at Falmouth is the best program I've ever started. It definitely receives the most positive feedback out of anything I've done. It's got the most consistent signups. Um, and it's like really engaging program. The community that I've seen come out of this cookbook club is really cute. People have like met up and shared their love of pickleball, and then they go play pickleball. And like I've seen little best friendships start here and at this table, which is really cool. So that's why I decided this would be a good one to share. This is the graphic I made 2 years ago, and it really needs an update, but there you have it. Okay, so this is just a basic overview of procedure and how it works, and with pictures to illustrate. I don't take pictures at most of my events because I'm a terrible person. But you can kind of see from the first month to the second month of hosting this, that I tweaked things, and I've tweaked things every single month for the last 2 years. The images on the right here are what we do to this day, which is we set up a buffet table, and then we eat family style. I've kind of played around with that, but that's what works best for it. But the procedure basically goes, I'll pick a cookbook. I try to have each cookbook at like the next month's cookbook at the current month's meeting, just so people can kind of get a heads up. And then for my event, people do have to register. So once I receive a registration online, I order the book for them if they are Minerva or if they're a Falmouth patron. If they're not a Falmouth patron, they're still absolutely welcome to join. I just shoot them an email and say, hey, this is the title of the book. It's your responsibility to get it. You can get it from your library, or however you would like. And I always offer, like, if you become a Falmouth patron, I can get it for you. So then throughout the month, I'll collect those registrations and I make a list of everyone who's registered and whether or not I ordered the book for them, just so I have an idea of who has a book from like us. And then if basically I put NA, yeah. If I didn't order the book, then there's not really a guarantee that they have it. So it's just more for me to know if they're not sending me the recipe, then chances are they don't have the book. They're still welcome to come if they don't make a recipe. But it's good for me to know that they're likely not going to come if they didn't get themselves a book. And then throughout the month, I ask people to send me the recipe that they choose from the book. This is so we don't have duplicates. Libraries do this all sorts of different ways. That's the way that has always worked for us. People like the idea that they're going to be able to talk about their recipe and not like have to share the spotlight. Plus, it gives a really nice variety of food. And it allows me to make sure there's always going to be a dessert because that's important to me. And then about a week before the event, I'll email the list of registrants with the list of recipes chosen. Just an anonymous list. I don't link them to names before the event, but I just basically send out a reminder saying, hey, we're meeting on Wednesday. These are the recipes chosen. If you haven't chosen one yet, choose one that's not on this list. At that point, I don't really care if they let me know or not. And I always remind people to bring their own dishes. Like it's logical, they always bring serving dishes, but I want them to bring their own plates and cups and forks and stuff. I want as little waste as possible in this event. It's very important to me. They've gotten better at it than when we first started, but I did end up purchasing for the for the library as a whole, we now own reusable plates and mugs and silverware. We are lucky enough to have a dishwasher, so that's how I could get away with that. I still ask people to bring their own dishes, but if they don't, I no longer offer paper plates. I offer real dishes. And then, very simple, during the meeting, we set up the buffet. People fill up their plates, and then there's like a good 20 minutes or so where people are just eating and chatting with their neighbors. And then at some point when there's a lull, I will kind of do the awkward librarian yell where I'm like, okay, everybody, let's talk about the cookbook. And then we go around literally just one by one around the table, and talk about the recipe that they made, talk about the thoughts on the cookbook. There's usually a funny anecdote that people will notice. Like one month, we noticed that every single recipe in a book had pink Himalayan sea salt. So like one person decided it would be funny to bring in a giant bag of pink Himalayan sea salt so everyone could take some home because no one could find it in the grocery store. So like little things like that just kind of pop up during this sharing time, which makes it really special. So that's it for like the nitty-gritty on how the day-to-day stuff looks. But when I was coming up with this presentation, there were lots of questions that I've been asked over the last couple of years, questions I've had to ask myself, as to kind of like why we do what we do. First and foremost, when I presented this idea to my director, she was like, scary insurance, ha. And so we put a disclaimer on all of our registrations. It's another reason we do registrations is so people can see that it says eat at your own risk. These are not these recipes are not made in commercial kitchens. So basically like scary. So people have to see that in order to register. And then I also do registration to keep it family style. I think a couple of you guys actually do cookbook clubs where you don't have to register, which is great. And I think that's totally valid as well, depending on what your space is, depending on what vibe you want. I really want it to be between, I would say like 8 to 14 people. My limit is 14. Because I like to keep it with the like going around the table, everyone saying their recipe and having time for the like free for all socialization. So that's what I've kind of troubleshot. And that works best for my patrons. They really like to sign up ahead of time. They really like to know that there's going to be a smaller group, which is great. Now, ordering cookbooks, which is what I said that I do, is what I've done since 2022, except for this past summer when, of course, we did not have our beloved van delivery system. And so I decided to, for that one, just pick a cookbook out of our collection and keep it at our reference desk, which I know, again, some of you already do. Um, and it's been interesting because it's so much easier to do it that way for me. If I just have a cookbook on my desk and then we put a sticky note as people come in and claim their recipe, it's like so easy. My patrons do not like it. And I don't know if that's because they are trained in the other way. I think they really like what I've gathered is they like to bring the cookbook home because that gives more for them to talk about during the meeting. They can like a lot of them try multiple recipes, which is inspiring but crazy. So I think that they're used to doing it that way. And maybe if we had started the other way, they would have liked that way better. So that's just kind of a nota bene for you guys. If you are to start, one way is much easier. The other way they really like. You can go either way. Cookbooks in library also allows you to do cookbooks that don't have 14 copies in Minerva, and there really aren't that many, like in the grand scheme of things, that have enough copies for 14 people. There's tons that have at least 10. So if you limit it to be even smaller, then you're good. I have a spreadsheet that I actually wonder if I can switch screens. Nope. Probably can, but I don't know how. Anyways, I can share a spreadsheet that I have for keeping it organized every month. Like it has a list of names of people and then recipes chosen and the name of the cookbook at the top. That's just for my personal organization. I made the point about reusable dishware, but I may put it in all caps here just so you know, I take it very seriously. And then this is a suggestion from one of my patrons was that we every now and then do an ethnicity instead of a specific cookbook. So like the first one we did, I think was Indian food, where I just said, make an Indian food recipe. Like it doesn't have to be from any cookbook. I will order you an Indian cookbook if you're like really intimidated. But a lot of people just found them online. a lot of people did ask for a cookbook, so it's kind of fun. And then I decided to do that every 3 months. So we've done Indian food, Chinese food, Italian food. Um, it's interesting. I don't think people like it as much. My crew really likes their cookbooks and the structure that a cookbook brings. But a lot of them, each time we do an ethnic night, it's somebody really loves it. So it's fun to mix things up. We also do a cookie swap in December, which is next Wednesday. And that one's literally what it sounds like. Everybody bakes a few dozen of their cookies, brings them in, and brings home a plate of other cookies. Definitely that's a fun one to do because it's not the regulars that go. There's a few, but mostly it's new people. It's like a fun little December party to kind of introduce the format. Um, and then this past summer, we decided to take August off because we had a small group in July. And that was a mistake. We should not have taken a month off because people it like fell off people's radars. Because we opened registration a month before the event, like registration for the next month opens on the current month's day. So people just like forgot to register. So then September ended up being a really small, like 6 people meeting, which is like we went from having 14 and a wait list every single month to having 6 people because we took a month off. And I was like, whoa, that was a little bit strange. Um, so that's an option though, taking a break in the summer, or doing something fun like grilling out if you have a grill at your library. I have a spreadsheet of cookbooks that I have used and cookbooks that I plan on using because every time a new cookbook comes out here in Falmouth, I look it up and see if there's 14 copies. And then I keep it on my list. So if you guys want a list of like a jumping off point, I have that as well. And then I said this at the beginning, every month I'm adjusting little things. Like I adjusted the format of the table. I adjusted like giving out paper plates versus regular plates. Patrons have really good suggestions that I try to take into account. But yeah, those are the things that popped in my mind. I'm happy to answer specific questions. You guys can see the link to our calendar if you want to like see how I explain it to patrons. That's on our calendar. Yeah.
How long does the event run?
It's an hour and 15, right? Let's see. Yes, 5:30 to 6:45. I was right. And that's only because I would rather it be an hour and a half. It definitely is pushing that time. We close at 7 and we have very skeleton staff on Wednesday nights, which is when we do it. So I personally have to be out of the room at 6:45 to go help close the rest of the library. So I often let them linger until like 6:50, but then I really have to like be like, guys, I gotta go do the rest of my job. So if you have a later time, I would suggest an hour and a half.
Yeah, I do one and it's an hour and a half. Yeah, an hour and a half.
I will say we started the first few months, is another adjustment we made, was 5 to 6:30 because we wanted an hour and a half. But everyone across the board was like 5 o'clock is too early because they need time to go home from work and grab their recipe and then go. 5:30 is too early.
5:30 is too early. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do 5:30 and people don't really start like we don't start eating until 6 because most people filter in between 5:30 and 6. So yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Who wants to go next? I can go. Oh, Lisa's gone. All right, Lisa.
Okay, I am going to talk about slap bands. Hopefully you all know what they are. They look like this, and you use them like this. They're very easy to use, and they are to help promote visibility when you're walking or on your bike. People put them on backpacks. We have given away probably over 900 of them in 2.5 years here in South Portland. We tend to really pull them out and promote them when we go into daylight saving time, because that's when it gets really dark really early. Bethany, if you could put the slide up, these are free. The Maine Department of Transportation, MDOT, who has more money than anyone else in the state of Maine, wants to get them out to people. And they have been wonderful at providing them for us. And there are 3 ways you can get them for free. The Maine Department of Transportation by contacting Dakota Hewitt, who is the active transportation planner. His email is there. He is aware that he may be getting emails from libraries asking for them. You can get them through me. I have probably 2,000 by my desk, and I can put them in the library delivery system. And you can also get them through the Bicycle Coalition of Maine. Dan Bassett is the education director there, and they're a wonderful organization, which is another way to get them. So lots of ways to get them. If you can take down the slide for a sec. They come in boxes of 50, and so it's a box that looks like this. It is slightly heavy, but we can easily get those. So you would need to order in groups of 50. Please don't order more than 100, at least from me, because the delivery system will probably string me up if I do that. We also, we leave them at the front desk. We have a lot of signage up. I can share that signage with you if you would like. We also share them with other city departments. So we share them with the rec department, who is oh so happy to have them and has no idea how they get them. Also, we have them at City Hall. And so people, just love them, and other departments are always calling saying, can I get some more? I need some more. So it's really a wonderful program. It makes me very happy when I am driving around South Portland and see them on somebody's backpack, or a walker using them, or on a walker, or on the back of a wheelchair. And as I said, they're free. People love them. They're easy to use. They're very intuitive. And you don't need to do a program around it. And I can certainly share all of our flyers and publicity around it too. If you would like, just send me an email and we can get that going. So if anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer them for you.
And I'll put the that list up again for you all to look at.
Great, thank you. And also, Bicycle Coalition of Maine, I don't know how many libraries work with them. They do really amazing programs. We had a bike rodeo in our parking lot last spring. It was great fun for the 3 to 5 set and their parents. They have a lot of educational opportunities, and they would like to do more with libraries across the state of Maine. And they do go to all 16 counties. So there you go.
Lisa, is that one of the same contacts that's on this list?
Yes, Dan's the education director, and you would contact him, and he would, or you can go to their website. They have a large description of the different programs that they offer, and he's a great guy. He'll get right back in touch with you. And both he and Dakota really enjoy working with libraries because they find them easy, and we tend to have a wider variety of community members who come in the door than some other groups.
Awesome. Any questions for Lisa? All right, thank you. Who would like to go next? I think Hannah won.
We're all just so excited to share. My entire screen changed when I did that. Can you see this? I can't see it anymore.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes. Okay. Terrific. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the Tiny Art Show. I've done this program twice, so I have learned a bunch and can tell you the best ways to do it. So we did it once last year, this time of year, and once two years before that. We've done it on a theme both times. So we have an event every winter that's called Starry Night. That's a luminary walk. And then there's an indoor fundraising aspect of it. So last year our theme was Starry Night. And then the time we did it before that, the theme was whatever the ocean summer reading, Oceans of Possibility, the ocean themed summer reading. So we did it as a summer reading related event. And the themes, you don't have to do a theme, but the themes seemed to really resonate with our patrons and gave them somewhere to start. And then, of course, if you're a kid or a teen, you just paint an entire little canvas in green and you do whatever you want. So the people who wanted, liked the theme, loved it, and the people who didn't need one weren't ever going to use it. So it really worked for everyone. So we do grab and go kits monthly. I do the adult and teen ones. So I made little kits that had a little paint set, a paintbrush, and these little canvases are 3x3 canvases. And then in there, this is a little postcard sized sheet of information with what the kit contained, instructions, and then how to return it. And what I did was put a little sticker on the back of the canvas that they would fill out that had all the information needed. We just did their name, their email, a title of the piece, and then the town they live in, because we like to track that. And then just gave them a date to turn it in by. The first time I did it, I gave them like nice envelopes to turn back in that had the same sticker on it, but then you had to keep track of the envelope and the canvas, and it was just too many things to keep track of. So I just made the sticker on like one of those Avery labels and just stuck them all on the back. These little paint pots, you can buy them empty on Amazon, and they're really cheap to buy empty. You do have to fill them all yourself. That means it's a great volunteer job. I had some teen volunteers who needed hours who did it in like an hour. It's not that bad. You just need to buy the whatever paint you're using or use your stash that you have in a storage closet. And then the canvases are not very expensive. None of this was very expensive except for I made like 100 kits. So that's how you can buy these already filled, and that's more expensive but faster. And then I did set up little areas that you could create in. This was one in our teen space. So the kits were for people taking home, and then I did spaces in the library where people could create and just leave it behind when they were done. Here's another one. And here's another one. And then I just collected all of the canvases for like a month. And what I did then was label them all. They each got a number, and I mounted them just on big foam core board with command strips, so we could get them off again. We turned this into an auction as part of our fundraiser. So when people went, it was all online. So when people went to the website of the auction, they could find the number that they liked and see the title of the piece and the artist and then bid on it. I've also done it. I don't think I have a picture when I did it the first time. I put each title and artist on the actual canvas that I mounted it on and online. That was more labor intensive than I wanted to do the second time. Here's a little video of what it looked like when they were all hung up. So we hung them in our main hallway during our fundraiser event, and then people could bid on them starting that day. I think the auction was up for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then we just took the payments and had people come pick them up. But both times I've done it, we've gotten almost 80 submissions back. And that's probably half to a third of the amount of canvases and kits that I put out there. So it's not, you don't get them all back. First time I just put them out for anyone who wanted them. The second time I did it a little more targeted. I emailed local artists and did some more soliciting of people and let the artists reserve a canvas ahead of time and then just kept them at the front desk. The first time we did it, we done the whole program and it was really great. And we were like, what do we do with these canvases? And the development director was like, wouldn't this be a great fundraiser? So we sort of did it a little backwards. We had to contact people afterwards to see if they were okay with us using basically selling their art. And most people were fine with it. And then the second time we made that part of the draw that you would be creating it for a library fundraiser. And that got people really excited, and we got a little like a higher quality or a higher caliber of art the second time around. And I provide paint and paintbrushes, but it's not limited to that. It's like a starting point, and then people can put whatever they want on it. We had some fun 3D ones, and we did the ocean one. We had people doing like shells and things like that. And this is what our auction site looked like. These are ones that are just still on there that didn't get sold. But, you know, we had 80 canvases on here. We started at $20 and people just bid on them for a couple weeks. And it was fun. People were really excited. They asked if we were going to do one this year, and we are not, but we're thinking of doing one like every 2 years or so. It turned into a really fun community event. And that's all I've got.
Awesome. Any
Happy to
questions
answer any
for Hannah?
questions. Great. You're all set.
Sweet. That was very cool. I'm excited to dive into that more.
So sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
I was late and I was thinking. Um, so two questions. You said you put a label on the back of the canvas that has all the information, or the label is on the back of the baggie? I know
It's on the back of the
tricky
canvas.
question.
They're,
Okay.
I don't think I have any, but they're actual tiny little stretched canvases.
Mhm.
You can also buy the ones that are just like the boards, but there is space on the back to just stick it on.
Okay.
I stuck it on like the whole back of the canvas. I found it was easier to just keep them all together. It was less opportunities for like me to lose track of them or have to figure out later which one went with which one.
Okay. And then you return the finished to those people who don't want to sell theirs. I assume you return them to
We
them?
returned them. There weren't that many. There was only like maybe like 3 or 4 people
Right.
who didn't. So I collected everyone's emails when I collected the canvases. So I just emailed people and they just came and picked them back up.
So is there like you've got a number beside each one that you're displaying? Is there there's a master list of number 71 belongs
Yeah,
to?
I did it on the auction site so
Okay.
that when people went on, I had a spreadsheet for myself also.
Mhm,
And then on the auction site, people could see the title, which was kind of fun, especially when like kids did the titles, and then the name of who did it.
Okay.
And then I had my own master spreadsheet with everybody's information. And some people turn them in anonymously, and some people would just like leave them in
how did the whole bidding thing, are you using a particular?
We use betterworld.org,
Yeah.
which is like an auction site for nonprofits, and you can really customize it. And I'll put the link of this in is this the public link? Yeah, I'll put the link of it in the chat if anyone wants to see what it looks like. It just has the ones that are left over. Oh my God, this URL looks insane, but there's the link. You can see what it looks like, and you can really, I did have to upload each photo individually, and it had to be like a certain size. So it was a little bit labor intensive, but it works really well.
Great. Thank you.
And then you don't have to do it as an auction either. It's also a fun community thing to just display it.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. But
yeah.
I mean, I think I've told you that this is like on my bucket list. So I'm definitely going to do it. So I'm probably going to reach out, Hannah.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay. And I'm more than happy to go next unless you'd rather, Elsa.
Doesn't matter to me either way.
Okay, I will go next. I'll talk about bingo, which I'm sure you have all played in your life. Okay. Oops. Start at the beginning. I just have a few photos. We've all played bingo. We all know the rules. It's more about just how you decide to set it up, where you decide to set it up, that kind of thing. So we normally have all of our summer programs out on the lawn because we have a really, really small programming space. You're looking at it, it's actually part of our collection. So normally we have like really big tables and chairs in here. We decided to move those out of the way and just set up some nice tables. I have this really great bingo kit, and it has all of the numbers and the chips. So if anyone would like to borrow it, I am more than happy to let you take it. It's way too big to put in van delivery. So you could either pick it up here, or I actually live in Brunswick. So I'm more than happy to bring it to Brunswick if you want to meet up there sometime to borrow it. And I'll put up my email at the end. But as you can see, this is one of our best like multi-generational programs, which is the reason I love it so much. Everyone, thinks bingo is for old people, but it's also a great place for grandkids and grandparents. So we've had a lot of those kind of groups show up in the past, like this group, which was very fun. So lots of just a great program for people of all ages. Everyone knows how to play bingo. I never have to explain the rules because if a really, really young person comes, they're going to have an adult who's going to help them through it. So it's really nice. You can easily go into it. I highly recommend having like music playing in the background. You can kind of get the feel for how quickly you should be calling bingo based on the eyes you see of people out there. A lot of people know to kind of like look at you when they're done so that they can tell you that they're ready to move on. So I like to put on some music in the background just so people have something to listen to while they might be waiting. So you can just kind of get the feel for your crowd, know what pace they want, that kind of thing. We definitely mix up the bingo, the forced corners, the blackout. We mix that up a lot. I try to strategically change the style of the game to let every kid who is there win often. We don't limit the number of times you can win. So if a kid has been sitting there and hasn't gotten a bingo, we just say, let's go for blackout. And we wait until that kid has gotten to the blackout. So we might have like 20 winners one round, and that's okay. Because if that kid leaves without winning, what a bummer. We usually do our bingo at the end of the summer. And so we use up all of our teeny tiny summer reading prizes that weren't claimed. We have a very prize heavy summer reading program. So it's lots of little things like, slinkies, little stuffed animals. I'm kind of shocked I don't have more of those things around, but lots of little prizes. We want these kids and adults to just win as often as possible. None of our bingo prizes, we don't buy any prizes for bingo. We just use what we have that we can give around. I also love letting kids call. Our bingo, I think, is an hour, maybe two, letting people come in and leave. It's definitely a drop-in experience, and it's really difficult to call for that whole time. So I'd highly recommend having kids, especially kids that you know would be excited, come in and do some guest calling, because otherwise you die by the end. And this is normally where we have it. We usually have it outside. This year it was raining all summer, so we were inside. But as you can see, it's pretty minimal setup. My library has lots of folding tables and camp chairs, and this was another one of the guest callers that we have. So I'd highly recommend to take this outside. My library is like in downtown, so we often pull in a bunch of random people who are just walking by. So it's a great drop-in activity. Everyone knows the rules. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but does anyone have any questions about the way we set up bingo? Awesome. If you want to borrow my bingo kit, feel free to email me. Be more than happy to figure out a way to get it to you. We only use it once a year, and so it just takes up a lot of space.
So I do a bingo that looks very different from yours. So there are multiple ways to do it. I have people for the prizes. I don't spend any money on prizes either. And we do community bingo. So we provide prizes, donated things that have been donated to the library that we're not going to add to our collection. So like puzzles, games, that kind of thing. So I bring a stash of those things, and then I encourage people to bring prizes for the prize table. So because they like to contribute, and I encourage them. I tell them, bring something that you have at home. Like don't go out and buy something. Don't, so bring like a regift item or a game that you're no longer using or something like that. And people love to contribute to the prize table. So we have tons of prizes, and I give prizes for like ridiculous things. Like, anybody have a birthday recently? Go get a prize. Like, I mean, I'm just giving prizes like mad at this event. Um, so I think you can really kind of get creative with the event. And I use bingo daughters, the those dot marker things. Um, but certainly the chips work too. So there's a lot of variety, and it's a super fun event. I highly recommend a bingo if you can do it.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right, we'll toss it over to Elsa.
All right, so I wanted to talk about our board game night that we have here in Scarborough because I feel like it's pretty unique. We average between 40 and 70 people every time we do it. Um, we take over the whole library. We do it on a Friday night after we close, so it starts at 5 right when we close, which is a little complicated with closing because people are not always sure who's here for board game night and who's just hanging out because they don't know the library is closing. But we wanted to offer it early to appeal to families of young kids. So basically, our event kind of works in waves. So it's between 5 and 7:30. It used to be 5 to 8, but we found most people were leaving around 7:30 anyway, so we just decided to call it a night then. And um, so we have like lots of families with young kids right at 5, and then by 6 they're usually gone, and then kind of a second wave of adults come in. Um, and one of the reasons that we get such broad numbers is because I've marketed it in lots of different ways, and I try to make as many personal invitations as I can. So I have these little quarter-size flyers that I found have been really great to have. I keep some in my car actually, and sometimes I have them in my wallet. So like if I'm somewhere in Scarborough and like I'm at the grocery store, for example, and the teller looks interesting, I'll say, "Oh, hey, we have this board game night. Do you want to come?" And sometimes people do because of that. Like they feel like that personal invitation is really nice. So we have a recent partnership with Scarborough Terrace, which is an assisted living facility here in Scarborough, where they are paying for pizza every month. So dinner is included, which I think is a big thing too. If you're asking people to come to something between 5 and 7:30, knowing that you don't have to plan ahead for dinner is really helpful. And some people bring their own food anyway. And a lot of times people bring things to share, although it's not explicitly a potluck. Um, although last March we had a mac and cheese potluck where everyone was encouraged to only bring mac and cheese so we could try out different ones. And that was really, really fun. And I had little prizes. I bought little trophies that were about this big, and I sprayed dried macaroni with gold paint and glued them into the little trophies. And everyone who brought a mac and cheese got a little mac and cheese trophy. So that was a huge hit also. So besides our sponsorship, we also have what I consider, and I talk about them as like a friendship with, like a particular organization where they don't give us any money, but they promote our event. So, we have a friendship with Best Buddies, which is, if you don't know Best Buddies, it's so fantastic. It's an organization that partners people with intellectual disabilities with people who do not have intellectual disabilities for the purposes of friendship, where you get matched with somebody of the same gender and approximate age and interests for a year of friendship. And they're always looking for events to do together, especially free things. So Best Buddies puts this in their monthly newsletter as like, this is a great thing to do, and open and affirming. So it's a lot of fun. We have lost a couple of regulars once we partnered with Best Buddies. But, I say good riddance to bigots. But it's mostly been really fun and been really welcomed. A lot of people have said how nice it is to just play with people of different backgrounds and abilities. And, everyone who comes is really nice. So we haven't had like, any meanness or anything. Um, and we also really encourage people to mix it up. So I've been to board game nights at other places where it was like the people you came with are the people you play a game with. And if you come by yourself, well, tough luck. And we really encourage people to play with everyone. And we use that sort of as our slogan. Whenever we talk about it, we always say, oh, it's really fun. It's all ages and everyone plays with everyone. And that's just our little elevator pitch about it. So, I went to a Santa in the Park event last weekend and I had the little flyers and I gave out, I think, 200 little flyers. And I just kept going up to people and saying, you look like you have a fun family. You should come to this fun family event. And if you're sick of playing Pokemon, you cannot play it one more time. Your kids will find kids to play Pokemon with, and you can play something else with grown-ups. And it's really a big appeal. We've also have a little friendship going with the Higgins Beach Bridge Club. We're still getting that rolling. It hasn't been cold enough, I think, for them to, you know, the place they play is a summer only spot. So we're trying to say, oh, come to us in the winter. But so far we've only had a few people take us up on that. But they've been advertising it and talking it up, and that will turn into something. So another way that I've marketed it too is by referring to it as the living room you don't have to vacuum. So when people say, "Oh, I keep wanting to have a card night with my friends, but I don't have a table big enough, or then I have to vacuum, or one of my friends is allergic to dogs, or whatever it might be." I always say, "Well, we have them here. Just plan to meet up with your friends here." And so we've had American Mahjong groups who are just friends who like playing that who have come. We've had this group of women who play this really obscure card game that I can't figure out. They come. We've had people who meet up with friends to play Mexican train dominoes, just because these are games that they play like in the summer on the porch, but it's chilly out, so this is their new spot. It's a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun, and it really is mixed age. That's the thing that is so incredible to me is that there will be families with preschoolers and all the way up to people from Scarborough Terrace who are in assisted living. It's really diverse and a lot of fun. Are there any questions? Julia, I can't hear you.
While Julie is typing, Elsa, I want to tell you that my library is doing this, and I was very inspired by you copying everything you did. I even kind of stole some of your wordage from your posts online on your website. So
Good.
thank you. Thank you very
Good.
much.
Steal away. I mean,
Very excited.
I want more people to do it because it's really fun and um, I can't offer it all the time. Like people often say to me, like, we do this every Friday. I'm like, no. I would also like to have Friday night where I can do something.
So
Okay.
I,
The question that
oh,
Julia
sorry.
had, hold on just a second.
It's okay.
So she said, do you have all the games at the library to encourage people to bring their own games? And what advice might you have to a library wanting to start a board game collection? So actually, um, the um, we have board games, but they're just sort of board games that have been hanging around for a long time. I have bought maybe 5 or 6. And I know I also partner with our children's librarian in this. So she and I do this program together. Um, and she talks it up at story times and kid events and all the sorts of stuff. Um, so she's bought some things that were toddler specific, and there were a bunch of middle schoolers who were playing a game one day after school that one of them had in their backpacks, and it was so much fun that we bought a copy for the a library. But we haven't really bought that many, so maybe a dozen games that we've bought. People often bring games they want to play. So one of the guys from Best Buddies, 2 times in a row, he brought um, like stacks of different Settlers of Catan games. And um, I could both times I wasn't able to play because I was like busy doing other things, kind of like working the room because I'm also the host. But my family and I decided that if he was there the last time, we would jump on it and play Settlers of Catan with him. And we roped in a bunch of other people, and we ended up playing it in teams. And there was like a 5-year-old who was not the child of anyone at the team, anyone at the table, playing with us. I mean, it was really fun. And it was really cute. Although I feel a little bad for this man because he kept saying over and over again, um, well, we're not really playing by the rules, but that's okay. We're having fun. We're having fun, and that's what matters. And he must have said that 30 times, which meant like he was a little stressed out that we weren't playing by the rules. But, he rolled with it. And it was a lot of fun for the rest of us. And he got to sort of play his game. But anyway, so the question about so yeah, I would love to grow our library board game collection, but I don't really have it in my budget to do so. So we just kind of encourage people to bring them. And we don't lend board games. I know that there are a lot of libraries that have like extensive board game collections. Like Sasha, your library has a huge board game collection, which is like I'm envious, but we don't do that. So regarding the best buddies, um, I didn't join it at all. Like I'm not in Best Buddies. I don't have the time at the moment to um, commit to a year of friendship, unfortunately. Eh, But so that's just because but they market it to the adults, saying, this is an event for adults to do with their buddies.
So
What's your
Elsa,
question?
I have it. I would love to do one of these events, but I can't be allowed. I can't be open after hours, and I kind of feel like it should be an after hours event. So I'm holding out for that. But I am doing, sort of inspired by you, a Bananagrams tournament coming up in January.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited about it, and I'll let you know how it goes. But
Yeah. Well, let me
it's
know when it is because I want to play.
oh, okay. Well, it's January 11th
Okay.
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
All
but it
right.
is, I'm super excited about it. So anyway, I'll send you the information. Um,
Awesome. Any other
yeah.
questions for
And that's a
Elsa?
game that somebody has brought, like that we don't have Bananagrams, but somebody brought Bananagrams, and it was great fun. I had never played before. So
It,
one thing too that we do is we really make almost all games into team games, because I want some, so sort of the atmosphere I'm trying to create is like everybody's walked into Cheers. That like when you come in, you're greeted like, hey, oh, it's so great you're here. We need a guy. We need a guy. Like that kind of like instant thing. Like we had a woman who joined recently who I had like seen around the library and spoken to once or twice, but she had never been to the board game night. And she came in and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's great to see you." And she's like, "I don't really know how to play any of these games or anything." And I was like, "Well, my team needs an extra person because I'm kind of wandering off because I'm the host. So please be on my team." And so we had a 3-person team for Settlers of Catan, which is not a team game. But it worked out. It worked out well, and she felt like included and, you know, um, and then I also like if I'm playing Scrabble, like there's There's a guy who's nonverbal who one time was on my Scrabble team just as my letter picker. I went to an Alzheimer's support group recently to just kind of talk about things we have at the library to support people who have dementia and to support caregivers. And I had mentioned the board game night as a good place to go where you can be a part of something without having to carry the whole mental lift. So we have had a couple of people who have come with family members who have dementia because they know they can play it as a team and they know that that's totally fine. And that we've had an amazing thing with just the people who have come because we've created this atmosphere where everything's sort of loosey-goosey and we're just having a good time, like that guy said. And we're not playing by the rules. And that we've noticed that in games, if there's somebody who clearly needs a little bit of extra thinking time, the people will give them that. Like one really popular game that I did buy for the library is called Anomia, and it's super, super fun. And you can add people in at any point in the game, and so and people can get up and leave, and it doesn't matter at all, like who's actually playing. And it's like a matching game, but you have to say words that fall into a category, and it's really hard sometimes. So, like, if your category is books and you're supposed to say, like, the name of a book, suddenly you'll be like, I don't know any books. It's really fun. But but we've noticed that even though it's supposed to be a quick thing, if somebody's matched with a person who needs an extra minute, they'll give them that extra minute before going, oh, Grapes of Wrath. So it's been really nice that way too. I don't know how that happened though. I mean, I guess it's just by like my doing that or, Deanna doing that or the other librarian I work with or I don't know, maybe Scarborough is just really nice.
Awesome. Any other questions for anyone? Or we have 3 minutes left. Does anyone feel inspired to share a 1-minute program that they've loved that they want to share? All right. I will stop the recording.